But when the visa ban went in place last August, we were not able to bring them. So we brought this family. It was 3 little girls and a mother. And one of the little girls, I was telling this story earlier tonight, was standing outside of her tent because, of course, her home was destroyed in Han Yunis, which is in southern Gaza. And an Israeli drone came and shot her in the head. They have these quadcopters that are armed. This is the new kind of warfare that exists today in the world, not only in Gaza, but particularly in Gaza it's being used. And this drone shot this little girl in the head, and she lost part of her skull as a result of this cranial defect. Her brain was unprotected, so she needed neurosurgery, which was not available in Gaza. So we brought her out for neurosurgery in Mexico City.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Spath, and I'm the Executive Director of the Indiana Center for Middle East Peace. We're in our 22nd year as a voice of peace, justice, human rights, and intercultural encounter. I'll read a little bit of factual biographical information about Steve and Khaleel, but I just want to say a personal word about the utmost respect and admiration and affection I have for Steve Sosebee. This is a man who, more than 30 years ago, took it upon himself to stand with the children and the youth of Palestine and Gaza and to provide free medical and surgical care for them. And now with Heal Palestine in the last 2 or 3 years, providing educational and leadership training as well. And so we were really proud as Indiana Center for Middle East Peace to commit ourselves and our resources.
Thank you so much.
To Heal Palestine and Steve. Steve Sosebee founded and led Palestine Children's Relief Fund from 1991 until he left to co-found Heal Palestine in 2024. For over 3 decades, he's led humanitarian efforts on the ground in Palestine, arranging free medical care in 1990 for the first injured children from Palestine in the U.S., and organizing the first volunteer medical missions in Gaza in 1995. Steve and his kids founded the Huda al-Masri Pediatric Cancer Department in Beit Jala Hospital near Bethlehem, the first of its kind, named for his first wife, who died of leukemia, Huda al-Masri. In 2016, Steve married pediatric oncologist Dr. Zina Salman, and in 2019, they built a second cancer department, this time in Gaza, that the Israeli military destroyed in 2024. Khaleel, now 15, was severely injured on April 22nd, 2024, when a bomb struck him on his way to a Gaza City barber, requiring emergency amputation of both legs. He also sustained a head injury, now stabilized. Heal Palestine brought him to Chicago for further medical and prosthetic care. The bravery and resilience of this young man is a testament to faith and the power of the human spirit. His mother and sister are with him in Chicago. So Steve and Khaleel, welcome to Indiana Center for Middle East Peace. Welcome to Fort Wayne.
Thank you. I'll go first. Thanks, Michael. Thank you, Michael, for your very kind words. Oops. And thank you guys for coming out. This is my second time speaking here at Plymouth Church. So thank you for opening your beautiful church here to Heal Palestine and to me. And I'm very excited about presenting Khaleel or introducing Khaleel in a moment. But before, I'll say just a few things. So if you want to know anything about Heal Palestine, our annual reports are on the table here. Please take a look at them. They're pretty comprehensive. And really, I think the main point is that we all have a very significant responsibility and duty to work for the Palestinian people under this horrific time, a time in which the vast majority, hundreds of thousands of children are now homeless. They've had their homes destroyed. They've not been in school. So Gaza has about 1 million children. That's about half the population. So when you hear about things happening in Gaza, always remember the population, half the population are children. So when there's bombings going on, when there's a siege imposed, which has been imposed for many, many years, when there is food shortages, when the water treatment plant has been destroyed, when the hospitals are being bombed, half the population that's being impacted directly are children. And what we've seen over the past 2.5 years in Gaza is a very direct impact on the lives of kids there. Not only is the vast majority of children now living in tents or inadequate shelter in Gaza because their homes have been destroyed, they've been pushed into this very small. Gaza was one of the most populated areas on the planet, densely populated areas on the planet prior to 2023. And now 50% of that area, that landmass, which was small to begin with, there was 8 huge refugee camps in Gaza from 1948. The population now lives in a very small area along the beach. They've been pushed out, pushed further inland or against the sea. So even that population now are living in tents in a very densely congested area. So you can imagine hundreds of thousands of children living in tents for years now. That, Gaza, it has very cold winters, it has horrific storms, has extreme heat. And these poor children every day wake up in a tent and don't have school to go to. They have to look for clean water. Searching for food is a challenge because everything has to be imported. And we've all seen that food has been used as a political weapon in Gaza several times, in which we've seen malnutrition documented by the UN. We've seen children even die from the lack of a proper nutrition in Gaza. Every kid we bring out of Gaza for medical care is malnourished. We have that documented by pediatricians. So it's just a horrific circumstance. In addition to that, there's severe trauma that's being inflicted on the entire population of Gaza. Every single person in Gaza is traumatized. Every single person in Gaza will live with psychological scars the rest of their lives, whether they've been directly injured or not. They've experienced things that we can't even describe and we can't even imagine the horrors of it. And it's important for us, I think, as Americans to first accept and acknowledge that we're responsible for what's happening there. This is our tax money. This is our government support. This is only possible because the American government has made it possible for what's happening in Gaza to happen. And we have to accept responsibility and we have to take positive action to undo what's happened to the people of Gaza. The blood is on our hands of children like Khaleel, and we have to do something to undo it in a positive way, by healing the people there, by rebuilding their lives, by giving them a sense of hope and giving them a future. And that's what our organization was set up to do, and that's why I'm here tonight, and that's why hopefully Khaleel's story can inspire you to stay strong, stay focused, and stay active. Support organizations like the Indiana Center for Middle East Peace. The work they're doing is incredibly important, and if you're not involved with their work here in Fort Wayne, I highly encourage you to reach out to Michael and get involved. But for now, we have to focus on the bigger picture, which is that we see the situation in Gaza continues to deteriorate, meaning that even though the level of bloodshed which existed last year at this time prior to the ceasefire has decreased, it hasn't gone away. There's still bombings in Gaza on a regular basis. Children are still being killed in Gaza regularly. And the aid getting into Gaza has been extremely, yes?
Excuse me. I apologize. There's a Toyota Highlander parked in the apartment's parking lot, and there's a tow truck out there right now, I've been told.
Oh.
And I just didn't want to wait any longer. I'm sorry.
There she goes. You better run.
I apologize.
Poor Kathy.
Everybody.
Kathy's sprinting. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries. It's better than getting your car towed. That would suck. So I think it's really important for us to remember that we are not helpless in this country, that we can do positive work, whether it's through the Indiana Center for Middle East Peace, whether it's through organizations like Heal Palestine. Stay involved, stay active, and educate your neighbors. A lot of people don't understand what's happening in Gaza. They don't understand the depth of horror that is taking place there. Since our government banned injured children like Khaleel coming to this country last summer, we've had to look for treatment for our injured children in other countries. Gaza has the highest per capita number of child amputees ever documented in modern history. So there's thousands and thousands of kids like Khaleel who are missing limbs in Gaza that need treatment outside because the prosthetic limbs are not available in Gaza. And last month, we brought a family, an injured family, to Mexico City, our first kids to go to a country other than the United States. We had treatment arranged for them in Texas, but when the visa ban went in place last August, we were not able to bring them. So we brought this family. It was 3 little girls and a mother. And one of the little girls, I was telling this story earlier tonight, was standing outside of her tent because, of course, her home was destroyed in Han Yunis, which is in southern Gaza. And an Israeli drone came and shot her in the head. They have these quadcopters that are armed. This is the new kind of warfare that exists today in the world, not only in Gaza, but particularly in Gaza it's being used. And this drone shot this little girl in the head, and she lost part of her skull as a result of this cranial defect. Her brain was unprotected, so she needed neurosurgery, which was not available in Gaza. So we brought her out for city, but also coming with her was her mother, and her mother was caring for this daughter in Nasser Hospital, which is also in Han Yunis, and was nursing her daughter back to health. The doctors there did an amazing job saving her life. And of course, because there's such a shortage of medical personnel, the mothers often take care of the day-to-day needs of their children, even while they're in the hospital. So this young mother was caring for her 4-year-old daughter who had this horrific head injury. And the hospital where she was caring for her child was bombed, and the mother lost her leg. So we have a mom in Mexico with the 4-year-old daughter who's missing part of her skull, and the mom's missing her leg. So we're going to get her a prosthetic limb. And this is just one story. There's thousands of stories like this, and each one is so sad and so shocking, because here we are in 2026 when information is so available. We all see what's happening all over the world. We see what's happening in Gaza, and yet it doesn't stop. The horrors, the horrific scenes of just massive suffering of children losing their limbs and dying, and children being killed, and now it's taking place in Lebanon as well. It's just really unimaginable that it's happening here today in this modern world that we live in, where we're able to get the access to this information, but we're not able to stop it. But what we can do is heal these children. What we can do is take a stand and say, not in my name, that this wasn't done in my name as Steve. Even as an American, I didn't have a choice on this, but where I'm going to do something to help undo it. And bringing kids like Khaleel here is one way to do that. And going on trips to the West Bank like Michael's leading next week is another way to do that. Bearing witness, sharing stories, educating your neighbors, your friends, your relatives. That's so critical right now. People need to know, and things are changing in this country. And it's a slow change, but it's rapidly accelerating. We see it every day now. And things are going to change more as people become more aware of what's happening on the ground there. So please keep this momentum going. Things are going to change, and by change we mean that no more children like Khaleel are going to come out of Gaza, and they're going to be able to live there and be healthy and safe and hopefully have freedom. So our organization is dedicated to the main cause of health, education, aid, and leadership. We're focused on really doing all we can with whatever resources we have to provide the care and support that people there need. And we are a grassroots organization. The holistic care that we provide our kids is really the foundation of our organization's culture. Kids like Khaleel that come out, we get them mental health care. We work on their education. We address what their social needs are in addition to their medical needs. And that's true for the kids in Gaza. We have now a new orphan program. There's 40,000 children who've been orphaned in Gaza since 2023. 40,000 children have been orphaned. And who's taking care of them in Gaza? There's no social network. There's no government that can support them. So our organization has built a program for these kids. And one of the things that we focus on is, again, the holistic care. We're not just providing them food. We help rebuild their homes if we can with whatever materials are available. If not, we provide shelter. We're in the process of shipping in 10,000 tents into Gaza. We just got 1,200 of them this week. We paid $3 million to buy 10,000 tents from China and ship them into Gaza, high quality tents. So we're providing shelter for these orphans. We're providing them food, providing them medical care. We're putting them in school. We're providing them mental health care. So it's a holistic program that we apply to everything that we do in Heal Palestine. That's the foundation of our organization's culture. It's how we operate, and that's, I think, the only way we can truly heal these children. So that's what our organization is about. But it's more important for me to enable kids like Khaleel to share their stories. The people of Gaza, the people of Palestine, the children of Palestine, particularly of Gaza, deserve to have their voices heard. And their stories need to be told, and we need to respect and listen to what they have to say, because again, Khaleel lost his legs from an American bomb, our tax money. Each of us in this room contributed to what happened to this beautiful boy. So by hearing his story and hopefully raising more awareness, we'll be able to put a stop to this, and there won't be more Khaleels in the future, God willing. So I'm going to introduce him. He's still learning English. He's a little bit shy, but he's a very, very smart young man, and he's very brave to come here and speak in a language he doesn't yet command. And I'm going to try to help him as much as he needs. I'm not sure how much. I've seen him speak before. He's good. And he put together a PowerPoint. I told him, if you're going to come and speak, you have to share your stories and share some photos of your story as well. It's very powerful. So with that being said, and we'll also give you guys a chance to ask questions after Khaleel's done. So with that being said, Khaleel, if you want to come up here, please. Let me see. تفضل.
This was my neighborhood in Gaza, the place where I was born and raised. When many people hear the name Gaza, they think only of war and destruction. But for us, Gaza was home. It was family gathering, the sound of the sea, crowded streets, neighbors who know each other, and evenings filled with life. In a single moment, the life I know disappeared. The world that once felt distant suddenly became personal, far replaced. Normal life, safety disappeared. Every day became unstraight. In one moment, everything changed. During one of the attacks, I was severely injured and lost both of my legs. In one moment, everything changed. My body, my future, and the life I once imagined for myself. But even after losing both of my legs, I know I had not lost my voice. After my injury, I came to the United States to continue treatment and begin a new chapter of my life. Recovery has not been easy. Every day brings physical and emotional challenges. And there are moments when I deeply miss my home, my people, and the life I once had. But through faith, family, and sport, I am learning how to live again. Not as person I was before, but as someone still holding into hope, dignity, and purpose. Even after everything, I am still here, still healing, still standing. One of the hardest parts of my journey was learning how to live again after losing both of my legs. Rehabilitation was painful, physical and emotionally. There were days filled with frustrations, excitation, and fear about the future. Learning to use prosthetic legs was not simply about walking again. It was about rebuilding confidence, independence, and hope little by little. Every small step became meaningful, and through patience, faith, and support from others, I began learning how to move forward again, one step at a time. When people hear the name Gaza, they often hear numbers, headlines, and statistics. Behind Even every number is a human being, someone with dreams, memories, family, and a life they were trying to build. I do not want people to remember me only as someone injured in war. I want them to remember that before the war I had a home, a future, and ordinary moments that meant everything to me. Even after everything that happened, I still believe in hope during and the impatience of telling our stories. Please do not stop talking about Gaza. Please do not forget the people still living there. Thank you for listening to my story. Please remember Gaza. We are more than what happened to us.
تعال. Good job. والله ممتاز. تعال. How you scanning ovation. Really shukran. Thank you. Good job. Good job. Stay with me. Michael? That was the first time I've heard him speak like this, and it was truly amazing. Good, amazing job, Khaleel. Do you want to say something?
No, do you have any more presentation?
Oh,
Or you
no,
wanna take
just questions. If anybody would like have some questions.
So yeah, we'll take some questions. Tony?
Excuse me, you said why did the hospital was blown up? Do you know why they would blow up the hospital like that? They was bombed and everything?
And repeat the question.
Yeah, so you're asking about the hospital that was bombed in Gaza?
Do you know why they?
Why are they bombing hospitals? Well, they initially made claims that the resistance was under the hospitals, was using the hospitals as a staging ground for militant attacks, but they did not find any. There's no evidence. It's been documented that that was the case. So nearly every single hospital in Gaza has been bombed, been damaged, been inflicted with violence. In Shifa Hospital, which is the main referral hospital in northern Gaza, where I worked and was doing many projects before October of 2023, including building a neonatal unit, they found a mass grave. And they found hundreds of bodies in that grave, some of them with their hands tied behind their backs, which, execution style. And that's true in other, I think in Nasser Hospital in Han Yunis as well. So we've seen hospitals targeted and attacked in Gaza. And not only is that a war crime, but it's, again, something that is unthinkable in the modern era. Knowing what we know about history, knowing what we know about crimes against humanity, to think that that could take place today is really unthinkable, but this is what happened. And unfortunately, hospitals, like so many other areas in Gaza, have been hit and people have been killed there. So, unfortunately. Any other questions?
Please.
Kerry?
This is a major holiday for Muslims, and can you just tell us a little about Khaleel's family and what they're able to do to celebrate this Eid holiday?
I'll let Khaleel tell you. He's asking about your family in Gaza. What did they do for Eid holiday?
They go to visit my family, like my uncle and my grandma, and go to pray
To go to pray.
to pray.
Yeah, so this is a traditional, the Eid holiday is one of the biggest holiday for Muslims. It's equivalent of Christmas, Passover, all of the big holidays in the other religions. And traditionally, people will sacrifice a sheep, and they go and visit relatives. They pay respects to the dead, to their relatives who've passed on. And unfortunately, and usually it's a moment of celebration within the families, but because families are separated now, or they've suffered so much hardship and family members killed and injured and separated, that this holiday has been very, very difficult for the people of Gaza, as you can imagine. And Khaleel's family, I think his home was destroyed. So his father lives with his sister And so you can imagine people are like living on top of each other. There's no privacy, there's no space, but they're doing the best that they can. And they're obviously very grateful that Khaleel was able to get out and get some semblance of medical care. I know his father is very grateful for that, but still, this holiday has been met with great sadness by the people in Palestine and the Middle East in general. To see such suffering being inflicted on a population in Gaza and in Palestine, in Lebanon now, is breaking the hearts of people all over the world and certainly all over that region as well. Any other questions for Khaleel, for myself? Any observations, comments?
Yes, sir, please.
I would love to know, Khaleel, some of your hopes for the future.
Your hopes for the future. إيش بدك بالمستقبل?
I would love to hear some of your hopes for the future. And would you like to go back to Gaza at some point?
I want to be engineer in the future, and because I want to build Gaza, and just like that.
Did everyone get that? Great. To rebuild Gaza, that's the dream, and that's the most noble thing. Anyone else?
Yes, please.
How is your mother doing at this moment?
She's asking how's your mother? كيف أمك؟ أحكي.
She is good. She's helped me with, like, we go to the hospital to continue treatment, and she's helped me with my prosthetics.
Yeah. I want to say something about the moms from Palestine, from Gaza in particular, because I don't think that there's another population in the world that have endured what the moms in Gaza have had to go through just to help their children to survive, just to take care of their kids, to deal with trying to find food every day for your children and to care for your injured kids. Thousands of children in Gaza are living with traumatic amputations. They're living with trauma. You can imagine when food is scarce in Gaza, every night there's a cry of hunger among the children. Half the population are children. Kids don't know why there isn't food available. They just know they're hungry. So imagine being a mom and every night you can't give your children adequate enough food for them to sleep comfortably. So there's cries that kind of go up into the night sky of hungry children every single night, and how heartbreaking that must be for everyone, but particularly for mothers. And when we bring kids here to this country or to Mexico or wherever we can get them treatment, the mothers come with them usually, if the mothers are alive. We have some kids whose mothers have been killed. And they are just the most amazing people. They are just so full of life and courage, even though in many cases they're leaving other children behind. In some cases they have obviously their husbands back home. And as I said about the mom in Mexico, some of them have suffered injuries themselves. We have a mom in Cleveland. I'll just tell you a little story of a boy, a double amputee like Khaleel, same age. And we went and visited, I'm in Ohio, so we went and visited them last week and took them out to get ice cream and whatever. And the mom has around her neck the pictures of two of her sons who were killed. And you could just see the sadness in her eyes, that she's wearing these memories of her two teenage sons who were killed in a bombing, and now her only surviving son is a double amputee, a cripple for life. So the sadness that these women, these mothers carry in their hearts and their souls is just so overwhelming to even think about. And yet she was there helping her son in whatever his needs are. And that's the same with Khaleel's mom as well. And so much respect and admiration for particularly Palestinian people in general, but in particular the moms of Gaza, who have been enduring this horrific situation for years now, and still keeping their humanity, still loving their children, still trying to instill hope, and showing such courage that it inspires me, but it also humbles me, and in some cases makes me feel even less of a human because, as I said before, we did this to them. We as Americans are responsible for what happened to Khaleel. And we can try to excuse it, we can try to justify it, we can say it was that government, that administration. That doesn't change it to the people in Gaza. The blood is on our hands. So we have to act and we have to do something. And first and foremost is to just be aware and acknowledge the truth. This is the truth. What is happening in Gaza is on us. So is the first step of being able to undo it and to heal these kids is to acknowledge this basic core truth. So much respect and admiration for Gaza moms. Every one of them has gone through things that we could never, ever understand. But we do know that they deserve our respect and to acknowledge what they're going through. And thanks for asking that question. Is there any other questions?
Yes, Sam, please.
Can you talk about the obstacles for children like Khaleel to leave Gaza, and after they receive their treatment,
Yeah.
they face obstacles if they wanted to return?
Yeah, did everyone hear that question, what the obstacles are for kids like Khaleel to leave Gaza and what their obstacles are to return? Well, I mean, there's a huge, immense list of obstacles. Because first, let's keep in mind, the traumatic injuries of kids like Khaleel are only part of the kids who need treatment. We have kids with cancer who can't get treatment in Gaza and need to go out. We have kids with congenital heart disease, kids with diabetes, kids with cystic fibrosis, kids with congenital diseases, malformations that require medical specialized care that's no longer available in Gaza. The specialized services have been destroyed. So those kids, in addition to the tens of thousands of severely injured children like Khaleel, all need treatment outside because the health system in Gaza has been destroyed. So you have this huge waiting list of kids who can't get, in many cases, even basic care. And in some cases, they're dying. Kids who have congenital heart disease. And every year in Gaza, there's 500 babies born with congenital heart disease. I was building a congenital heart program in Gaza prior to 2023, bringing in teams from all over the world, doing open heart surgery. And we were treating those kids. That treatment stopped, and those kids get no care. And there's no government accepting those kids outside because the priority for treatment abroad is, for the most part, injured children. So kids with these congenital malformations, with diseases, do not get care outside for the most part. So they, unfortunately, in many cases, even die from what they were born with, or what are treatable injuries or treatable diseases. So you have this huge number of kids, thousands and thousands of children who need care outside, and you have a very small amount of care available to them. The only places like that we're treating them are countries like the United States, where we were bringing children, and you have obviously European countries. Egypt, most of these kids go to Egypt and get put into the Egyptian health system and then get transferred out, because Egypt itself, its public health system, is not suitable or developed enough to treat some of these specialized cases. And Egypt itself is a poor country. It's more than 100 million people. They themselves are overwhelmed on a public scale to be able to treat their own patients. I have to say, the Egyptian government, of all the governments in the world, have done the most of any other government by taking, they accept any injured child from Gaza into their hospitals and will do their best to treat them for free. But they have limitations. So to get out of Gaza, somebody like Khaleel today, to get out of Gaza has to be accepted by a third country, where the Europeans are not doing their share. They've only taken a few kids for the most part to Italy, to now we're sending 2 kids to Spain and 2 to Portugal. That's nothing, 4 kids. It's nothing. But most of the countries in Europe are not taking them. The UK isn't taking them. Germany isn't taking them. France isn't taking them. The Scandinavian countries aren't taking them. Belgium isn't taking them. All of these highly developed, rich European countries are not treating injured kids from Gaza. And other countries where they can also be treated are not accepting them as well. Abu Dhabi has taken some. Qatar has taken some. That's far short of what's needed. So the international, and now our government's closed its borders. So the international community has fallen far short of meeting its responsibility on a humanitarian scale to treat the thousands of children that have been injured by European and American bombs. That's number one. So, but let's say a child does get accepted at a country outside, the family that went to Mexico, for example. Often the border between Egypt and Israel is closed, and sometimes they have to go through Jordan. If you go through Jordan, the Jordanian government will only allow you to stay for a couple of days if you're transiting out. So you have to hustle and get them a visa. You have to get them a security clearance by the Jordanians before they enter. They won't allow them in. So actually, to get a child out, you have to have them cleared. First, they have to be on the Ministry of Health list that is based on prioritization. So they have to fit within the what they consider a priority. Secondly, there has to be coordination by the World Health Organization with the Israelis through the Kogat. So the Israelis have to approve them leaving as well. And then the Egyptians or the Jordanian security services have to allow them to come in as well. We've had kids denied by the Jordanians and Egyptians both in the past that have been accepted in other countries. And then you have to find treatment for them in another country that will issue them a visa. So all of those are just the obstacles of just to get a kid out. So once you get them out, then you have to take responsibility of moving them to that other country. Getting them treatment, paying for their treatment, or if it's donated, getting them the care, taking care of their housing, taking care of their day-to-day needs, addressing what the emotional issues are, addressing what the social needs are, providing housing, taking care of their day-to-day needs. If the mom has a baby with her, there's diapers, there's milk formula. Maybe the kid has, another kind of injury. They need kind of some other medication. There's all these factors that you have as an organization have to take care of. And then you have to get them back to Egypt when their treatment's finished. And the Egyptians have to issue a visa to allow them to come back. In some cases, they won't do that. It's a challenge. But they've been very supportive in this country of allowing our kids to go back. But we've heard that in some cases, kids can't go back to Egypt. So that's another challenge as well. And then getting them back to their families in Gaza. Khaleel's dad is in Gaza. His two sisters are in Gaza. He has a brother in Gaza. He wants to see them. That's his siblings. That's his family. If he goes back to Egypt today, getting back into Gaza is nearly impossible for him. They're only allowing 3 or 4 or 5 families a day of the thousands of families that have applied to be reunited back with their families in Gaza. So we take care of them in Egypt. We put them in apartments. We pay for their daily needs, their food, their education, their clothing. We take care of our kids until they're able to go back to Gaza and be reunited, and then we'll take care of them there as well by providing them food, support, and other aid. So it's our responsibility. We don't just do medical care. We take care of these kids from the start to the finish. These are our kids. Khaleel's ours. He's like a son to me, but more importantly, he's a child that we're going to be responsible for until he is an engineer and he is rebuilding Gaza. So that's how we take on this responsibility. But it's a huge challenge. It's a huge undertaking. And we've had to build a big not a big organization, but a lot of people come in play here because a lot of things, there's a lot of pieces that need to be, that need to be addressed when you're talking about bringing a family out and getting them care. And that's not even sending medical teams there. For example, we had a team arrive in Jerusalem last week of American doctors and nurses who were going to East Jerusalem, not even to the West Bank, to East Jerusalem to do a training course in pediatric resuscitation for doctors and nurses there, and they were denied entry and sent back when they arrived. So it's a challenge in every aspect of work there. We have to deal with so many factors, so many challenges, but we have to keep going. You don't give up and you don't stop. You just keep trying to find a way. And this is just one aspect. We're not even talking about trying to get aid in. We're not talking about trying to deal with education for traumatized children. We're not talking about all the other factors that come into play here. So it's just overwhelming.
Just a quick one on what's it take to keep Khaleel here from administrating with the U.S. government? They're not allowing new arrivals from Gaza, as I understand it. But those who are here, what all do you have to do to retain his visa?
If his treatment is still ongoing, we get a letter from the hospital that says that, and then we submit it to the immigration services, and then they review. Sometimes even that's not enough. They'll still reject a visa renewal.
Every 3 months?
It's every 3. Some people have 6 months, but some people have 3 months, yeah.
Linda?
Steve, would you address the number of medical and nursing doctors and nurses who've been targeted and killed in Gaza, and the journalists who've been taken out, and the ambulances and the EMS? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I mentioned Shifa Hospital and the fact that they found a mass grave there and people's hands were tied, some of those were doctors, some of those were nurses that were found in that mass grave. And actually the healthcare providers in Gaza, I mean, there's 2 heroes in addition to the Palestinian mothers that I mentioned earlier that really should always be acknowledged when history is written about what the Palestinians in Gaza have gone through under the past 2.5 years. There's going to be 2 groups that will be identified as the true heroes, and that is the healthcare providers, the first responders, the doctors and nurses who work without pay. They don't get salaries for the most part. And they continue to go every day into hospitals, into emergency rooms, and provide life-saving care with very limited resources. They amputate children's limbs without anesthesia. They provide care for children and for patients without pain medication. They have shortages in antibiotics. They have shortages in everything. And yet they go every day and they operate and they work. And they've also been targeted. Dozens of doctors have been killed. Hundreds have been arrested and are in prison now. If you want to understand what's happening in Israeli prisons, just Google that. And it's absolutely horrific what's happening there. Many of them without trial, without charge. And also first responders have been targeted and killed by the hundreds. So there's been hundreds of medical personnel that have been killed and many more disappear into the Israeli prison system, never heard from and not heard from since. On the journalistic side, that's the other group that are heroes, because without the journalists in Palestine and Gaza sharing what's happening on the ground there, we wouldn't know some of these stories. We wouldn't see what's happening on the ground there. And in addition, because they don't allow Western media in, CNN does not have a correspondent on the ground there. The New York Times does not have a foreign Western journalist on the ground there. No Western journalist has entered Gaza since October of 2023 to be able to document what's happening on the ground there. So it's all on the shoulders of Palestinian journalists who have been targeted by the hundreds. And they are the highest number of journalists killed in all armed conflicts since World War II combined are the journalists in Gaza. And they've, in many cases, receiving texts, receiving phone calls telling them that they are being targeted, and yet they continue to work. They continue to put their life on the line. They continue to try to document what's happening on the ground there to share with each of us, because it's our moral responsibility to be aware and to act on this information in a positive way. So those are another group of heroes who deserve always to be acknowledged and respected for what they've contributed, what they've sacrificed, just for us in the West to be able to be aware of what's happening on the ground in Gaza.
Paula? Bill's got a microphone for you.
When you were talking about the U.S. being responsible for a lot of the bombings and what's happening, and then they're sending, I kept thinking as a mother how hard that would be to send my child to a country that's responsible for this. Are a lot of families, do they feel that way? Do they feel hesitant? I mean, I would think, yeah, you're gonna do it because you want your child to get help, but I would think there'd be so much reservation about going to a country that's basically killing your people.
I think that's a very fair observation. I don't think, we haven't heard anyone say they didn't want to come because of the US government. I mean, people obviously are very much aware of who's responsible for the destruction of Gaza, and obviously they acknowledge that the American government is responsible, but they also see that the American people have been very open and kind and welcoming. And that's really something I want to acknowledge, which is, traveling this country and getting so many kids here and working with so many people who are not connected to this issue through family connections or ethnicity or identity. For them, it's just a cause, it's a human issue. And so many Americans are willing to help. So many Americans are, like yourselves coming here tonight, are sympathetic to what's happening to the Palestinians. And people in Gaza see that. They know that. They know that the governments all over the world, not just in this country, but also in the European countries, even in the Arab world, as I said before, the Arabs are not doing enough to help the Palestinians, but they know that the Arab people are sympathetic, it's just the governments. So I think people see it from a human perspective. They want their child to be treated first and foremost. America has amazing medical services, unparalleled in the world. If their child can have access to that care, and a trusting organization like Heal Palestine is going to facilitate that, they'll send their kids here. But it must be hard. Yes?
Hi, Khaleel. I'm Reverend Timothy. I was, if I understood correctly, that you're staying in Chicago these days for your treatment. I'm wondering if there's one thing you like about being in Chicago, and what are some things that you miss about not being in Chicago?
Shubhib Bill Chicago. One thing, what do you love about Chicago? What's one thing you like about being in Chicago? The food, the people, the weather.
I like the people in Chicago because it's so nice and so come on.
Yes.
Yes?
They're nice.
Yeah.
What else? What do you miss about Gaza? He asked you what do you miss about Gaza?
أهلي.
What? Tell him. Why you're telling me?
And
What do you
I
miss about Gaza?
And I miss my family in Gaza.
Anything else? Al Bahar, Al Samak.
Yeah, and the sea, and my home.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you repeat that?
If you guys didn't hear that, I think he spoke pretty loud, but what he likes best about Chicago are the people. So, because Chicago has a huge Palestinian population, as you probably are aware of. If you visit Chicago, the southwest areas, suburbs, there's a place called Little Palestine there, and it's amazing restaurants, very lively, cultural. Go eat Palestinian food. It is among the best cuisines in the world, and you will love every dish that you could order there. So if you visit Chicago, you'll see that it's very rich in Palestinian culture, which makes it a lot easier for kids like Khaleel to come and kind of had that adjustment into our culture. We don't have that in some areas. We have kids in places like Seattle, and we have kids in, like the kids I've sent to Mexico City, very limited Palestinian or Arab culture there with restaurants, and so it makes the adjustment a little bit harder. But for Chicago, there's a huge Palestinian population. So in many cases, Khaleel has people all around him who speak his language, who have his culture, and it makes that adjustment a little bit easier. So, and what he misses about Gaza, he said his home, his family, and the sea. The sea is such an integral part of the Gaza people identity. If it's the West Bank, people don't have access to the sea. You could grow up literally 20 miles away from the Mediterranean Ocean and live in the West Bank and never have a chance to go see it because of the occupation, because of the restriction on movements. But for the people in Gaza, it was a source of liberty. It was a source of freedom to go to the ocean and look out across it and see the sunset and feel that freedom, that beauty of the ocean. And Gaza people always hold that very dear in their hearts. So you'll always hear Gaza people acknowledge how important the sea is in their life.
Please, Jerry.
It's Dr. Cooler who had done the surgery.
Okay.
Khaleel, where are you receiving your medical care? And to Steve, how did you?
What was the second question?
I was asking Khaleel where he is receiving his medical care.
أي مستشفى.
You, Steve, how did you arrange that? How was that?
Oh, okay. Where are you getting treatment? أي مستشفى شو اسمه؟
شو اسمه؟
The مستشفى بالشيكاغو.
نسيت.
Shriners.
Shriner, yeah. I go to Shriners.
Yeah. So the second question is, how do we arrange it? So I brought the first injured child to the United States from Gaza in 1991. A triple amputee. He lost his arm, a foot, and a leg. He was 11 years old from a bombing. I was just a journalist. I hadn't started PCRF then. And I didn't really have much experience in bringing kids out for treatment. It was like the second or third child that I ever arranged treatment for. But I did find out that the Shriners hospitals in the United States, they had, I think at that time, 18 orthopedic hospitals all over the country that accepted children for free for prosthetic limbs and orthopedic surgery, sometimes scoliosis, reconstructive surgery, and prosthetics. So I started using the Shriners because it was free care. And I sent that boy to the Shriners in Los Angeles and became friends with the chief of orthopedics there, Dr. Hugh Watts. And he then had worked in Saudi Arabia, so he was kind of knew the issue and was sympathetic. He started helping me find other Shriner hospitals and just started placing kids in other Shriners like Chicago. There, at that time, we have a kid now at the Shriners in St. Louis, in Houston, in Chicago, of course. In LA, we have them. So they've reduced a couple of their hospitals, but that's where we get a lot of our care for free is at the Shriners. But we find a lot of private services that are available as well. We have the boy in Cleveland is at the Cleveland Clinic. We have kids in other places wherever we can get treatment accepted. I think down in Atlanta, we have a boy, I think it's at North Star Hospital or something like that. Wellstar, excuse me. So we get kids, we work very hard to find treatment when we're able to get visas for them. But again, like I said before, the American people, doctors like yourself, Dr. Cooper, and others, are willing to do this work. Like, that's not the issue here. Unfortunately, getting a child like Khaleel the care that he needs became politicized. Why would a government stop an injured child from coming to this country? It became a political issue. It's not a political issue. The issue is that there's an injured child that can't get treatment in his country. There's an American charity that's willing to bring them and cover all of the expenses, whatever those expenses are. And there's a hospital willing to accept them and a community willing to take care of that child. And yet our government stopped that from happening. So that became political. A child's medical care is now a political issue, which is kind of not only unacceptable, but un-American. Like, that's not who we are as a nation. Those aren't our values. That's not how anybody in this room was raised as an American, as a patriotic American. We always supported the underdog. We always believed in helping the sick and poor, whether it's your Christian values or your human values. But we're not that country anymore, and we have to go back to it, to regain our soul and to be the kind of people that we are, that we were raised to be and who we want to be. And I hope that'll change soon. Any other questions?
Talk a little bit about the L in Heal, leadership.
I'll make it short because I think it's been an hour. Maybe an hour is like the max. You got a couple more minutes, great. So Michael asked me to talk a little bit about the L in Heal, which is leadership. So as you heard before, I had started and I had built another organization called PCRF, Palestine. It's still around. And I'm very proud of founding that organization and making it a really big organization today. But one thing I wasn't able to get the board of directors of that organization to focus on were things outside of the health care needs of children. That's enough work that I can understand that to some extent. You can focus just on health care, and that's a mission within itself. But I wanted to do more. I've spent over 30 years in Palestine. I speak the language for the most part. I know very well the work there and the need there. And I always wanted to do more than just health. Health is important. It's something that I will continue to do. But education and aid are so critical as well. But the L is really something I felt was critical because these kids, there's so much opportunity to develop them to be independent and to help them rebuild their country and to be involved in the next generation of leaders so they can take responsibility and not depend on a guy from Ohio or a government or an NGO to take responsibility for helping them. They can take that leadership role themselves. They need support, they need mentorship, they need guidance. So we're building a program to give kids like Khaleel that mentorship, that support, so they can take that responsibility, whether it's through education, vocational training, support. So that's one aspect of leadership. The other one is that, and there's so many resources outside, not within only within the Palestinian community, which is one of the most educated people in the world. They built Kuwait, they built the entire Persian Gulf. All of those countries, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, Palestinians built that. When they were kicked out of their country in 1948, a lot of them went to Kuwait, a lot of them went to Qatar, a lot of them went to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, became teachers, became engineers, built those oil-rich countries up. So there's so many highly educated, capable Palestinians all over the world who are more than capable of mentoring and helping guide the next generation of kids, especially those who've been injured in Gaza, who've been orphaned in Gaza, to become leaders, to take responsibility of addressing needs in their community. And also what we want to do as an organization is to start planting seeds of building new organizations, meaning we would like young people in Gaza to start their own small nonprofits, their own NGOs within their communities, identify needs, and then come to us for seed money, come to us for mentorship. We'll teach you how to write a proposal. We'll teach you how to do an audit. We'll teach you how to run an accounting department. We'll teach you how to do social media. We'll teach you how to implement projects on the ground. And then you can develop your own organization and be leaders in your own community. And that's how real problems are going to get solved. I can do a lot of work, but nobody can do it better than a Palestinian themselves, somebody within their own community. They just need support. They need mentorship. They need the tools. They need the resources. And that's where the L in Heal comes from. It's not only giving kids like Khaleel a chance to become leaders, to have a life, to be independent. The last thing I want for Khaleel is 20 years from now to still be waiting for other people to help him. I want him to be an engineer. I want him to have a family. I want him to have a career and to have a life and a home and to be independent and to be able to take care of himself and his family. And that's what we all want for him. But it's hard work, and it takes a mission and a vision for that. And we also want there to be new Palestinian organizations that are not corrupt by politics, that are not corrupt by dirty corporate money that is just there to make them adhere to a certain policy that's not in their country's interest or in their interest. We want these to be independent organizations that are run efficiently, that are transparent, that are professional, that address real needs, and have the resources to bring hope and support for their people. So that's where the L in Heal comes from. We're still building that program because right now we're dealing with an existential crisis. There's a lack of food. There's a lack of medical care. There's a lack of education. There's a lack of housing. There's a lack of clean water. Children are traumatized. Children are orphaned. Kids don't have artificial limbs. That's what we have to deal with right now. We're in this existential state. But as we evolve as an organization, as we get bigger, as the situation in Gaza hopefully becomes more stable, we can start implementing this next phase of rebuilding through mentorship and developing new organizations. We want these other organizations to be bigger than Heal, to take over and to become the arm of aid and support for their own people. And that's what our long-term goal is in Heal, and that's what we're building for in our leadership program. Excuse me.
I'd like you, after we thank them, I'd like you to sit back down for just an announcement
When
or
did I,
two. But let's say thanks to Khaleel. And I'd just like to remind you about the T-shirts in the back.
Yeah.
I'd like to, if you'd like to make a contribution to Heal Palestine, you can see how it's spelled, Heal Palestine. And we're accepting checks in the back there. If you'd like to donate online, you can go to our website and to the donate button, and any contributions in the coming week that are made to Indiana Center for Middle East Peace will designate to Heal Palestine. Finally, Steve, you know, we're just really, as an organization, we were going to be the next group in line to receive a young man, a young teenager. Dr. Cooper and Dr. Caldwell and Dr. Giaquinta and Linda Kerr and others had looked at x-rays, and we had chosen the young man to come to Fort Wayne. We had the orthopedic hospital at Lutheran lined up. Dr. Cooper was going to do the surgery. We had the mosque in the UEF lined up to provide religious kind of spiritual care. We had the community health care lined up and all the rest. And of course, then the Trump administration denied any kind of visas for people from Gaza and for Palestine. So we were the next in line to receive a young man. So what we've done, Steve, we want to show that we're really committed to you. We're committed to your organization. We're committed to the people of Palestine, but especially the young people of Palestine. So if you would please accept this check from us for $10,000 for your organization.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Well, this is a long-term issue. It's a long-term struggle. It's a long-term cause. So we're in it for the long term. And this contribution will go to helping more kids like Khaleel on the ground in Gaza and to come out for treatment, God willing. And we hope that next time we come here, next year, whenever you'll have us back, that there'll be better news, that Gaza will be open, that there'll be a real peace process. I don't know if you've heard, this board of, I think the Financial Times just reported that the Board of Peace, which I think 14 countries promised $1 billion each to rebuild Gaza, not a single dime has been received by the Board of Peace, so-called Board, which is supposed to be governing Gaza. And there's one more thing, I don't know if you guys know this story, and I'm sorry, I just forgot, I always wanted to remind us when we talk about what our role has been in Gaza. You guys remember last year, there was the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which our government set up. And the intention was to provide food in Gaza. You guys remember there were these outposts where Gazans would walk miles in the hot desert sun over bombed buildings to get to these food distribution sites because food was not being allowed into Gaza. Everybody remember that? Do you guys remember what was happening to those people when they got there? They were being shot by American mercenaries, by a biker gang whose motto was basically to kill Muslims. That's who we sent there. And that's who was so protecting a food distribution. Over 1,000 people were killed. Hungry people, children, young men, just mothers, going to get food to feed their children. And were being shot when they were trying to get food to feed their starving families. That's how horrific this issue is. If that doesn't motivate you to leave here tonight and share these stories with your neighbors, with people who don't know what's happening, and remind them this is being done in our name, with our tax money, money that could go to our schools, money that could go to our education system, our healthcare system, to make our country better, is instead being used to shoot starving people. It's shameful. It's not who we are as Americans. And you guys being here tonight gives all of us hope, especially Khaleel and his family, hope that the true face of Americans are the people he's seeing here tonight, not the people who are sending bikers there to shoot starving people seeking food. Thank you guys for having me. Thanks for your donation. Thank you guys for coming out. Please take these and share them. Let people know there's organizations doing good work. And you guys, we're going to keep going. And hopefully next year we'll be here and we'll be talking about how we're bringing more kids to Fort Wayne and how we're going to be able to do more to help the people there. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everybody.